Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today we're doing something a little different. We are looking way beyond the surface of a pretty garden. Our mission? To uncover the wild, hidden stories of resilience, danger, and extreme rarity behind 25 of the world's absolute most stunning blooms. We've pulled the data directly from the source material to show you what these plants are really made of. So let's dive right into this. So you gotta ask yourself, what makes a flower truly beautiful? Is it the way the petals unfold, maybe the mesmerizing colors, or, that delicate fragrance that catches your attention on the breeze? We usually stop right there, but today we're totally pivoting away from those surface level aesthetics, because when you look at the hidden realities of what these plants actually endure, the crazy biological tricks they pull, and the sheer feats they accomplish, you realize their true beauty is far more wild than we ever give them credit for. Okay, Section 1, redefining floral beauty beyond the aesthetics. Let's get into it. Moving right into Section 2, the unbreakable survivors. These are nature's toughest. Just think about the sheer scale of adaptability here. Take zinnias, for example. These sun-loving plants, originally from Mexico, didn't just conquer gardens down here on Earth, they actually made history as the very first flowers to bloom in the cold, artificial environment of the International Space Station. No way, right? Then you have the rhododendron Nova Zembla, this ruby red powerhouse that literally shrugs off harsh winters and urban pollution. It actually color shifts its petals to a deeper pink depending on how much sunlight it absorbs. And then there's my personal favorite, the Easter lily cactus. This thing endures scorching South American deserts and freezes all the way down to 15 degrees Fahrenheit just to erupt in these enormous, fragrant flowers for a single, breathtaking night. And survival gets even more unconventional. Look at the fern plant. It's this tropical Brazilian marvel that completely skips using soil. Instead, it anchors itself directly to trees and just absorbs nutrients from rainwater. It only blooms once in its entire life, but it cleverly produces these small offshoots, affectionately called pups, to clone itself and keep going. Meanwhile, cosmos thrive in incredibly poor soil, just rocketing up to 6 feet tall to create these vast swaying meadows. And oh, the red hot poker. This towering South African plant looks exactly like a glowing torch, but it's so fiercely resilient and low maintenance that in parts of Australia and California, it's actually naturalized so aggressively they consider it a potential environmental threat. Let's talk about the number 8. 8 feet, that is. That represents the sheer architectural scale of the hollyhock. Now, this cottage garden classic might look super delicate with its giant, plate-sized blooms, but it functions like nature's skyscraper. It shoots up to 8 feet high, effortlessly self-seeding and surviving year after year. It totally proves that you really don't have to sacrifice height and ambition for resilience. Of course, survival is also all about timing. Think about spring's early riser, the tiny English daisy. Known in medieval folk medicine as bruisewort, it basically kicks off spring for us. Fun fact, the name daisy actually comes from day's eye because it famously opens exactly with the sunrise. Now, compare that to autumn's last stand, the New York aster. Native to the 17th century Dutch colony of New Netherland, this incredibly resilient late bloomer produces its composite flowers just as everything else is dying off. It provides an absolutely vital final lifeline of nectar for pollinators right before winter sets in. Section 3. Myths, Legends, and Royals. How these flowers literally shaped human history. Despite its name, the Chinese hibiscus isn't actually from China. Ancient Polynesians carefully hybridized it, blending different species to create the dazzling tropical flower we know today. Then, by the 16th century, the fringed, clove-scented Sweet William was completely captivating European botanists. It became so steeped in royal symbolism that Catherine Middleton even included it in her wedding bouquet as a nod to Prince William. And in 1846, we got the Bleeding Heart. This is a spring ephemeral straight out of a fairy tale with its dripping, heart-shaped blossoms. It was famously reintroduced to Europe from Chinese gardens by a Scottish botanist, and man, it instantly captured the romantic imagination of the whole world. The mythology surrounding these plants is just as wild. Take the hyacinth, named for a tragic figure in Greek mythology involving the god Apollo. Biologically, though, it relies on this fascinating symbiosis. Its seeds have a tasty little coating that ants just can't resist. So the ants carry them away, snack on the coating, and completely unknowingly plant the seeds. Then we have the wild pansy. Roman mythology claims it was struck by Cupid's arrow by accident, giving it love-inducing properties. Shakespeare even immortalized it in A Midsummer Night's Dream as the chaotic love potion that drives the whole plot. But hey, not all legends are romantic. Some rely on pure trickery. The plumeria isn't just a Hawaiian lei staple or a sacred temple bloom or even an eerie cemetery spirit plant in the Philippines. It is a brilliant botanical con artist. It pumps out this intoxicating sweet fragrance at midnight, specifically to lure in moths, but it produces absolutely zero nectar. The moths are drawn in, get covered in pollen, and leave completely empty-handed. They unknowingly do all the pollination work completely for free. Section 4. Medicine, Food, and Poison. The double lives. Because their beauty isn't just to look at. They literally have the power to heal, feed, or even kill us. Talk about a double life. It's ethereal beauty versus dark secrets here. Take the lily of the valley. It's the ultimate symbol of bridal purity, famously carried by Princess Grace of Monaco and deeply tied to Christian folklore as the Tears of Mary. Yet, every single part of this innocent-looking little plant is highly toxic and can cause severe cardiac distress. Contrast that with the heavenly blue morning glory. It's a gorgeous vine whose petals color shift from violet to sky blue based on the soil's pH levels. But historically, the Aztecs harnessed its psychoactive properties for spiritual rituals, and ancient Mesoamerican cultures used the plant's sap to vulcanize rubber thousands of years before the Goodyear Company ever existed. And then you have flowers that literally dictate entire economies. 3,500. That number represents the astonishing 3.5 millennia of human cultivation behind the saffron crocus. Get this. This flower does not exist in the wild. It is entirely sterile. To get just a single ounce of the world's most expensive spice, thousands of these delicate, autumn-blooming flowers must be meticulously harvested by hand at exactly the right moment. These flowers have also driven some incredible innovations. Back in the 16th century, the South American nasturtium arrived in Europe and was dubbed Indian cress because its fiery blooms and shield-like leaves packed a really deep, peppery, edible punch. Fast forward a bit to the late 18th century, and an English physician discovers that the foxglove, which is this towering woodland bloom steeped in fairy folklore and known as lady's glove, actually has profound effects on the heart. That single discovery directly led to digitalis, a cardiac drug that is still widely used in modern medicine today. I mean, gardens really were humanity's original pharmacy and pantry, right? Nasturtiums aren't just great in a salad. They act as a natural pest deterrent, actively drawing sap-sucking insects away from your vegetables. Then there's the intensely fragrant gardenia, which has long been a symbol of luxury. It produces a fruit prized in traditional Chinese medicine for its cooling, anti-inflammatory properties. And the poetic wild pansy we talked about, it was cherished in medieval times for herbal remedies, treating everything from skin ailments to heart conditions.
Okay, section 5, the rare and fleeting. We are talking about the true botanical divas.
Some flowers are absolutely breathtaking, but man, they demand absolute perfection. The tuberous begonia sparked a massive Victorian exotic plant craze with ruffled blooms that rival roses, but it demands highly specific shaded spaces to survive. Garden phlox, true to its Greek name meaning flame, sets late summer gardens on fire with dense nectar, but requires precise care to maintain its towering clusters. And the African violet, discovered back in 1892, demands the exact perfect conditions of its native Tanzanian cloud forests. Literally one drop of water on its fuzzy sensitive leaves and it rots. They are the ultimate botanical divas. But, just demanding care is entirely different from true botanical rarity. Rarity defines a flower that exists only fleetingly, or in highly restricted, isolated ecosystems, literally teetering on the edge of extinction. And this perfectly sets the stage for the most precarious, fascinating flower on our entire list. 2. Out of the entire planet, 2 represents the only known locations left on Earth where the Middlemist Red camellia survives today. One is a botanical garden all the way in New Zealand, and the other is the historic Chiswick House in England. This flower originally flourished in China, but then completely vanished from its native lands in the wild. It was brought to England in 1804, where it stubbornly refused to be cultivated easily. Yet, against all odds, the Middlemist Red, which surprisingly is actually a captivating shade of pink, endured. It survived the utter chaos of World War II at Chiswick House, sitting completely unnoticed for years, blooming right in the dead of winter and defying extinction. It represents the ultimate triumph of quiet, stubborn, botanical resilience. So that brings us to a final question for you. Which flower's hidden reality completely changed the way you define beauty? Now that we've gone through the whole story together, from the zinnia blooming up in outer space, to the plumeria tricking moths in the dead of night, to the Middlemist Red clinging to existence in just 2 gardens on Earth, Do you value their delicate petals more, or the unbelievable resilience and hidden danger underneath? Definitely something to think about the next time you look at a garden. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep exploring the incredible realities hidden right in front of us.